mic's way over there. All right, hello, welcome to the fourth IGD workshop, Intro to Game Dev's Communication. So I am not Ryan, my name is Riley, and I'm standing in for Ryan today, and this is gonna be great. So let's talk about some communication. How important is it? Very. If you didn't hear me talking about it, or Ryan talking about it, or any of the other officers talking about it, I don't know where you've been, because communication is so important. It's the foundation of a team. It's what establishes a sense of urgency and camaraderie within the development team, keeping the project as an important task to each member. By maintaining communication and letting the team know whenever you're running late or unable to make it, it reflects respect for both the team and the project, which is necessary for its longevity and productivity. It also allows members to make whatever adjustments necessary for the game's completion. So, key point here, if ever you're going to be running late or can't make it to a meeting with your team, tell them. Don't just say, oh, well, they're not going to miss me, because you're wrong. They are going to miss you. You're a valuable member of your team, even if you're one of 5 programmers, because all of you is important. And that might have come off as a joke, but it's actually really serious. It's important that everyone's there at the team meetings. And if you can't make it, tell them. Communicate. Meetings. Meeting with your teams, hopefully often. So here it is. You should have at minimum 2 meetings per week. Ideally, space them out between the week or through the week to get more time stuffed during a meeting. Doesn't make a lot of sense to meet up on Monday and then meet up again on Tuesday. It's like, hey, long time no see. What have you gotten done since last time? Oh, you opened the UC project. That's more than I did. No, we don't want that. So I guess ideal case would be maybe say, and this is just throwing days out there, right? Like Tuesday, Thursday, hey, you got a day in between, right? Monday, Friday, oh, that's a big amount of time, and a whole weekend between those ones. But it's a little bit hard to get those meetings together. I understand, I know, I've been there. So just try to meet as much as you can, and if it's just like, it's easier to work in person, I find. So do we need that many meetings? Yes, please, have frequent meetings. Keep team members on task and motivated. That's what happens if you meet up often. I misread that. Allows you to adapt more quickly to things going faster or slower than planned. If you run into a problem, hey, we ran into a problem. We can see about this. We can try to get it fixed. Gets you assign new tasks to members who finished theirs. So it's like, hey, I finished player movement. What do I do now? And then start working on the shoot and fireball. And if they finish the fireball, what happens then? Well, we communicate that. This falls slightly under production, making sure that everyone has a task filled out. But it's also really important to make sure you're not working on the same thing and avoiding those get fires. And if things are going slower than planned, we can maybe talk it out. Like, hey, are you running into problems here? Maybe I can help. Maybe we can find help with one of the officers, or maybe another group. It lets you to discuss and find strategies for problems as soon as they pop up. And it keeps everyone on the same page. That's important. If I think, like, if I'm the writer and I'm thinking, like, okay, I guess I'll have a story set, and then we're like, hey, actually, we changed the mechanics and the genre changed to a mystery. It's like, oh, well, I would have liked to know that. So make sure everyone's on the same page. And I took that immediately to writing, because I'm the writing officer, but I realize it's talking about programming, which is also important, because once again, you don't want those get fires. Okay, so what to do at meetings? What do you do at meetings without looking? How many of you guys have met up already with your teams? Great, I'm glad to see that. Have you met up with your team? Are you on a team?
I'm trying to schedule it right now.
Great, okay.
So far, on how to meet my team, I'm still trying to hit them to put their times up.
They haven't done the one to meet yet.
Right. About half of them so far.
I think you're gonna have to. Okay, so that's a thing.
Besides that, I'm trying to post in general chat.
Yeah.
Voice. Trying to get them into voice chat to at least.
Okay. Yeah, you can try to schedule that sort of thing. If you have to, just at them on Discord. It's a little inconvenient, but that's what you gotta do. But yeah, so how have your meetings gone so far? What are some of the things you've done, or what do you do in a meeting without looking at the screen? That is displayed largely behind.
I only had one meeting, and we're talking about, okay, what kind of game we're going to make, and everybody keeps silent. And after 1 hour, we have a good idea, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, so it can be a little hard to get them talk, but you're right. Discussing what you want to do. It's not on that, but it's important for planning phase. But yeah, this is more for general meetings. So the next meeting, you could say, hey, did we come up with any more ideas? And that'd be your progress check, checking what progress has been made. Although, you should probably come up with more ideas. Get some thoughts going, get the ideas flowing if you can. And it is hard, I understand.
It's going to happen tomorrow.
Great, okay. I would say, sort of diverging from the slide, if you're having trouble getting people to share their ideas, just sort of it's hard to get going, but once it does, make sure that everyone feels like their ideas are welcome, because everyone's ideas are welcome. It's a collaborative effort, even if there's one team lead or one writer who's like, hey, I've got an idea for what I want to make. I will say, on the projects that I've worked on, I've been the writer. It's like, hey, let's have this cool story. But then some of the best elements in our games have been other people on the team being like, hey, what if we did this? It's like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. So it's really just, meetings are such an important time to communicate with the team, to talk about this, to share your ideas. More for production as well, discussing assignments and deadlines. We've got to keep a constant pace here, guys. I know that some of you haven't met yet. It's hard to keep pace. We only got so much time. So once you do get started, try to keep at it and keep going at a pretty healthy pace. Make sure that you're assigning deadlines. You know what you want to achieve when, right? And generally that's going to take a little longer than you're expecting. So you want to try to plan for it as best as you can. Discuss issues and decisions that impact multiple departments. That's most things. So if you've got it's tempting, and I think that we mentioned this in the slides later, to say, hey, let's get all of our programmers together and just have the programs meet up and program everything. That can be productive, but you don't want to neglect the meetings where you have the artists come over and be like, how does this work? And they might not know because programming is hard, but they might also have the input like, hey, so you're doing it this way, but I feel like we need to look into this mechanic, and this needs to be done first. I want to see what this looks like with my character animation going. So cross-department, there are certain actions that require input from multiple departments. Design and, say, writing, for example. Hey, I've got a great idea for a game mechanic. Does it make any sense in our world? No, that's a sci-fi element in our fantasy world. That's not going to fit. So talk to each other between departments. That's why meetings are important. Playtesting. Did any of you guys go to our general meeting the other day? Yeah, playtesting is important. For those of you who don't know, it's just playing a game. You can playtest at any stage in your development. You have a movement script, playtest it. How does it feel? Oh, I'm moving super slowly, and this is supposed to be a fast game. Well, now you know. And it's not just a thing you do on your own. At meetings, playtest it. Let the entire team know on the same page, like, hey, we need to look at this. And that's what you would want to talk about. And you can also work on the game in these meetings. Once you guys have done all your planning, your progress checks and all that, it's like, okay, so now that we have some time on our hands, let's just do some work. And that's a good use of your time at these meetings. Attendance is important, and it's not always easy to get everyone there. But don't dismiss absences so easily. Explain what work would be lost and what must be done to make up for it. Treat the project with respect so members can establish a sense of urgency. This is necessary to meet goals and deadlines. You never really want to beat someone like, hey, you really messed up, you didn't go to our meeting. I'm going to shun you for the rest of my life. That doesn't feel good to do to anybody, and it doesn't feel good to receive that. But at the same time, you can't let ghosting or absences, unexplained absences, go completely clean. We're all students here. We should treat each other with respect, and part of respect is telling them, hey, I'm going to be gone, or hey, I can't make it, and understanding that as well. That's okay. You told us in advance, and we'll work around that. We will have to maybe work a little faster or focus on this when you have the time. But we can coordinate later on and make sure that we're all on the same page online, if not in person.
I don't even have a chance. One of my teammates just never respond.
I'm very sorry to hear that. If people just completely disappear off the face of the map, that's what we call ghosting. That's never really a good thing. If you let us know, we'll try to either also reach out to them or also mark down hey, this person kind of left you hanging there. We don't want that. So talk to us later about that. But ideally, we won't be encountering ghosters, and communication potentially helps you avoid that. But if they just disappear without a trace. Sometimes it's not easy. I'm sorry.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We just
so much.
like an air.
All right, so department meetings. So here we go. It can be very tempting to have department-specific meetings. There are some things that designers and writers need to discuss that programmers simply don't care about, and vice versa. Programming meetings are very dry for me. I can try to understand what's going on. Oh, you got like a variable here and collider thing here, and oh, I'm falling through the world. Oh wait, no, that's just me. I clicked something. And you know, maybe programmers aren't too interested in, well, what does happen when the player dies? That's a philosophical question now. But that said, it's quite likely that decisions made in a design meeting are going to affect programming. And if programming isn't at that meeting, they are likely out of the loop. So weigh the pros and cons on a team-by-team, game-by-game basis. And the same goes for closed-door channels on your Slack or Discord. What that means is if you have like a programming channel on your Discord, and you have that like private to your programmers, it's kind of a weird thing to do. I have the choice to say mute that channel if I'm not a programmer, but at the same time, I might have some good input. In one of my projects, for example, I did not have access to the design channel, so I'd be like, hey, I came up with this thing for the story, but I'm kind of wondering how it ties in with this gameplay element that you have here. Like, oh no, we changed that like a few rotations ago, so don't worry about that. It's like, that would have been good to know. So try to keep your channels open, let everyone see everything, because even your programmers might have a good idea for your story. Or maybe your writer figures out a problem that your program is having. Me personally, not likely, but we'll see. Although programmer-specific jams can be very productive, as a side note. Other communication channels. So you do need a team chat. Slack, if you don't know, is like Discord, but a little bit more professional. It's kind of like, it's basically Discord. So let's see. This slide's all over the place. The one thing about Slack, though, is that notifications, I think, are maybe off by default. That sounds fishy. But they do turn themselves off overnight automatically, which can be nice. You won't receive notifications at midnight unless there's a problem. You want to avoid linear chat applications like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, right? Slack and Discord are useful because they have the ability to pin messages and whatnot, right? If something important happens and we're like really actively chatting away at it, and someone comes by late, it's like, whoa, what happened in this chat? And it's like, we had a git fire and 5 things exploded. It's like, when did this happen? Just scroll up 50,000 messages and you'll find out. Messenger and WhatsApp don't have pinned messages, right? Discord does. So why we recommend Slack for like super intense organizational purposes is you can also respond to specific messages. So if I say, hey, this player is red, someone can respond to this comment without interrupting the flow of messages. Hey, that's supposed to be blue. It really compacts things a bit, right? So that's why Slack's a little handy, but Discord completely is fine. But it's important you have to have at least some form of communication. You don't need more than one though, so don't have a Discord, a Slack, a Messenger, and email chain to organize your team. That's too much and you're gonna get lost. So stick to one, but consider those advantages. So on these channels, you want to talk about what you're working on. Hey, I'm finishing up this level. Wait a minute, I'm working on that level. Well then, I guess we got a git fire. We won't have that happen if we're in constant communication. Any questions you have, someone on your team might know. If not us, if not them, us, the offices, or any other members of the club. So we can all help each other. Any ideas you have? I mentioned the open channels, especially for writing. Anybody can come up with great ideas for the story, and the writer can bring it all together and makes it really cool. Cat videos. We put this as a joke, but also, sharing memes is strangely a really good way to keep people in touch. I don't like memes, but I will admit, seeing people being active with memes kind of adds a little bit of an atmosphere to the Discord. And I'd probably mute all the meme channels, but I appreciate that people are sharing, like, oh, I thought this was cool. Really, it's like you can't have it all business with your team. Have some casual time. Get to know them, right? And that can be indirectly through sharing memes, or whatever you have it as. But yeah, use your channels to chat. have some fun.
Maybe we should start giving tax.
Oh, I just did that. Okay, so how to start off your server. So I believe that we tried to set you up with Discord servers if you're on scaffold projects. Are any of you not on scaffold projects? Wildcards or your own projects? Cool. How is your communication going? Do you have communication channels?
Yes.
We're using C#
Yeah, we've met like once or twice. We haven't made a whole ton of progress, but I think we're communicating pretty well.
What program are you using?
Oh, have you been like what?
What are you using?
Unity.
I mean, Slack, Discord?
Oh, Discord.
Gotcha, cool. Is that going okay?
Yeah.
How many memes have you shared so far?
Myself, none. I'm not afraid of memes.
I understand.
But, yeah, I don't think anyone's really. You should really.
All right. Well, if anything ever happens to that, let us know and like we'll try and sort it out. Okay. Was there someone else who was also? How's your team communication going? What do you guys have?
We're using Discord.
All right.
It's going pretty well.
Okay.
We've been sharing a lot of like ideas and like where we want the game to go, I guess. And it's a lot of ideas going around. A lot of
Great.
concrete.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So when you do get on a server, change your nickname to your first name and your role to whatever your role is on the project. It does kind of help to know, hey, who is Attacker 55? Oh, that's Joe? Oh, okay. It's hard to get names. Names are so hard. So if you aren't super familiar with people, change your names to your actual names. You're on a team. It's not like going to be like a breach of privacy or identity, I hope. If it is, well, we got some problems there. And have some fun. Personally, I'd say get an icon. That would help me if you're slightly more visual with identifying people. I have a few bows to pick with Sean, the design officer, because he's got the default red Discord icon, and it bothers me. But I can't talk because
of the picture.
But I can't talk because other officer has a default icon too, and it's bothersome. Really important, the Win to Meet. Win to Meet is a really handy program, it's a website really. So lets you try to find a time where everyone's available, right? It's very simple, very easy to use, and free to use too. If you're on a scaffold project, I think that we also set that up for you. If you're not, that's a really handy tool, and you can use it for basically anything. Look through pinned messages to familiar yourself with what content is appropriate to post where. This kind of depends on how organized you are when you're setting up your Discord server. But if you want to have like guidelines for each channel, go for it. Keeping things organized really helps. You guys all have GitHub accounts, right? At this point, I really hope you do. Great. GitHub? So GitHub is...
I'm joking.
Okay. But yeah, make sure that that's going okay, and if you ever run into any problems with Git, talk to an officer that's not me.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay.
Okay,
So Trello can be really useful. Trello is another website tool. It's basically just like note board. So you just, basically you're able to type out any note, right? Hey look, it's Trello. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. So Trello is basically just a board where you can put notes. And on paper you can think, hey, I can put notes anywhere. But also, Trello is really handy because your entire team can look at the same board, right? You can move things between different boards. You can assign priorities, low priority, medium priority, high priority. You can assign people to these roles, right? It's like, hey, we need someone to paint all the roses blue. Let's make Riley do all that. So I can actually assign Riley the task to paint all the roses blue on the Trello board. And we all know that that's what who's doing that. So it's a really good organization. But one problem is you got to make sure that you are updating the Trello. It's as good as you make it. So make sure that you're actively updating who's doing what, what's been completed, what needs to be done. And also it helps to have long-term goals and things that are in progress and just the different stages of your work at each point.
Do you know if there's a Trello application?
I don't know off the top of my head though, I feel like there probably would be.
I don't think so, but we can try.
Yeah, and it is free to use. I think that if you have a program, you get like fancy gadgets. I've never needed to use them. But yeah, anyone have any questions so far on anything we've talked about? Trello or communication or chat channels type of things? All right, cool, let's move on. Any of you guys know what a game design document is without looking at the screen?
It is talking about kind of mechanics and grounds of this game.
Right, so essentially that. The game design document is a formal document that basically lists out what the game is mechanically speaking. It's here because it's a really good tool to share with the entire team so that, again, everyone is on the same page when it comes to design. So really it's a way to express the designer's ideas. It's like a blueprint for the game. It should be one single exhaustive document with every detail of the game design, or as many details as you can put down on the paper. It should have mechanics, UI-related decisions. Don't explain what things look or sound like, but explain the impression and everything should give. It's really just you thinking out and brainstorming your ideas and putting it on paper for your game. So the designer needs to be pretty on top of this, and everyone else should work on this and talk to the designer when working on the GDD. So the GDD, it's kind of like, it's a document that can change over the time, right? If you come up with more ideas, you want to keep updating. So like the trailer board, it's a really good tool to keep everyone on the same page, as long as someone's updating it with current information. It's like if we're adding a new mechanic, update that. And you don't have to be the designer to have a game design document. You don't have to be the designer to write on it. It's pretty open, but it's primarily the game designer's domain. If you're curious, writers have something similar for world documents and character documents, where they basically overview their world and their characters. So similar documents to keep everyone on the same page. More on that, you can talk to the design officers or the writing officers. Here's a fun one. Comment your flipping code. I didn't put that there, but Ryan did, so I will keep the mood with that. So programmers, you might have a code that works, but the other programmers might not know how that works. And if they can't understand it, that might cause a problem. So make sure that when you're working, you comment your code. It helps when you're working in a time crunch and your code is liable to be read by someone with little programming experience, like me. Game dev involves both of these cases. Good rules of thumb for when to comment: at the top of every method and script, say what it does. Jump script, what does it do? Is there a jump? Hey, now I know. What's this big block of text? Oh, that's how I duck and dodge. Cool. Whenever you do something clever or unintuitive, explain your approach. So what if we had this variable store this number 500 times? Why am I doing this? I'll comment to tell you. I don't know. Break long methods. So if you have greater than 10 lines into sections or steps with comments, so just as a way to make it easier on the eyes. It's a collaborative process here, so try to make sure that other people can understand what's going on. Communication to roles. So here we're going to, I think, talk about talking to other roles. Really quick. What are all your roles? What do you do? What? Team lead. Designer, programmer. Program team lead. Programmer. Programmer, right. Team lead.
I don't even know.
Great, everything.
Audio and game design.
Audio and game design. So we got a lot of programmers over here. We got a few audio and artists and writers. That's cool. Great. Do talk to other roles, not just programmers. If you don't understand something, talk to the people who do. It is possible to know everything, but I don't know everything, and I don't think most people know everything. So talk to the people who can cover your weaknesses. You're making one game, it should feel unified. Remember that every department has different needs, and you'll need to be accommodating of those. The members of a department aren't the only people who can have good ideas about that department. Feel free to contribute your ideas. I think I've touched upon this a few times during our talk so far. But also remember that your teammates are the experts on their jobs, not you, so respect their final decisions. So yeah, so here's the hierarchy of flexibility. Some departments have more restrictions on what they can and can't do than others. For example, if the technology doesn't support something, it doesn't support it. But your writer can probably justify just about anything existing in your game story. Yeah, I can account for that. Yeah, as a writer, if someone can fly, we can try to come up with a reason for it. It might be not a great reason, but it will be a reason, and it might be really funny. When the needs of two departments conflict though, broadly speaking, the more flexible department will need to yield. Basic hierarchy is story is more flexible than gameplay, is more flexible than technology. So anyone want to give me an example of what they think that might mean? Yes.
It's easier to write a story covering why a mechanic exists instead of changing a mechanic into making it align with the story.
Yeah, I like it. Good.
And you really can. If you don't have the technology to make a gameplay design, you can't. It's very difficult to make the technology.
But what if I really want that augmented reality platformer?
Fucking get good.
Yeah, so technology is a limitation, but we got a lot of technology at our disposal, so work with what you got. Now, we'll be talking about all the different departments. So, artists. So for you artists out there, make sure you're attending those art strike meetings because, hey, those are cool. Do you have any opinions about this, Melina?
Hello.
Melina's the art director. So if you have any specific communication questions for art, you can always ask Melina, but I'll just keep going at this slide in the meantime. So communicate with your team you're working for, the art department. If you have any questions on the art requested, talk to the art office on the team. First off, how many of you guys are familiar with art process here in this club? Okay, how many of you aren't familiar with how we get art going in here? Great, so for our projects, in the past we used to have it where an artist would be assigned to a team. The only problem is we didn't have enough artists for those teams, so not everyone would get art. And we all want cool art in our games, right? So now we have the system of art strike. So our art strikers are all the artists in the club working as one larger team, and they work together to supply art to all the different projects. So as you get later into the development process of your games, you can request art from the art strikers, and they will try to fulfill that request as soon as possible. Hey look, if you have any questions about art, ask Melina May and Henry Yuen. So for you team leads out there though, we have an art repository which is linked in the slideshow, and the slideshow will be made available later. You can find finished art for your game here. Maybe you can find some other art we've done before that is working, who knows? You can use any art from the art repository. You do have to sign in with your UCI email, but that's basically most things here. If you want specific art, you gotta send an art request to the art strikers, which has its own form as well, which is now working on the website. Cool. For when you're making requests, be specific, know exactly what you want. Like, oh, I want like a really cool action hero, and maybe they have a red scarf. Oh, but what if it's blue? Oh, but I guess it could be green. Or maybe if I want, not a scarf, but like a hoodie. Yeah, no. See, you gotta have an idea of what you want from your artists. They can't really make the decisions for you. It can be collaborative, but it really helps if you have an idea of what you're looking for. I want a hero with a scarf and cool shoes. Those shoes are boots. Those boots are brown. They have 5 straps on them each. Well, you don't need to go that detailed, but have a good idea of what you're looking for. You cannot get art from an artist in this club until you get approved by the art director, Melina May. So if I ask for 50,000 enemies, we'll probably get declined. Send art requests as soon as you have a slightly polished game. Do not wait until week 8 or 9. The artists are humans, and they do work, a lot of great work, but they aren't miracle workers. They can't make 50,000 assets in 2 weeks. So the sooner you can get your requests out to the art strikers, the better. But at the same time, make sure that you know what you need. I mentioned this in Discord earlier, but let's say I want 7 different varieties of trees. And they give me 7 trees. Awesome, I've got 7 whole trees, it's great. But I've only got programming for 3 of them. I've got 4 art assets that I've asked them for that they've delivered that I haven't used in my game. So we want to try to avoid that, and you can still use those 4 assets, right? We can save those in the repository, maybe another team can use them. But generally speaking, you want to try to make sure that you are asking just what you need. So be sure to be ready to, or be at the step where you know what art assets you need when asking. Audio, very closely tied to art. Audio people, talk to your artists. Kind of get a feel for what you're going for visually, audially. Provide references to your audio people. I want this game to sound like X. I remember Y sounded really good. Maybe something like that. This gives us a starting point. So if you tell somebody, hey, I'm making music that sounds really cool. All right, that's subjective.
That's so general.
Yeah. So what really helps, and this is kind of broadly speaking for most creative people you talk to in this club, give references. What are you looking for? I want something that's dramatic, like the heroic theme from Halo to match that. And our audio people aren't going to give you like a fully orchestrated, like multi-man band type of performance, but they can go off of that for the mood, how it sounds, what maybe their inspiration. So having references really helps when you're requesting creative assets from people. Attend every meeting and bounce ideas. This is for audio people and audio people. Go to your team meetings. Even if it's like, hey, they're just talking code right now. Still go. It's important. You can contribute to the other fields and always be working so you have something to show and get feedback on. Playtesting happens at every stage. And we say this kind of jokingly, but you can playtest anything. Music. Hey, what do you think of this jump sound? Because I think we'll need a jump sound. Oh, great. It's on the right track. Awesome. I'll keep on working on it and refine it until it fits. Better to make lots of assets and pick and improve the best ones. It's probably easier for audio people because I can make several different varieties in pitch and tone on sound effect, as opposed to like an art asset where it's like, hey, well, change of color should be too, how it helps and whatnot, but just be mindful of how much work it might take. Try to step into the shoes of the other members on your team is what I'm saying. For design, you need to be very clear with your team. Okay, I'm just going to go off on a disclaimer here. It's a little bit unclear to me sometimes who these slides are directed to, your designers or your non-designers talking to designers. So we'll try to take it generally and maybe jump around on both sides. You need to be clear with your team about how things should feel and function. So this is the designers talking to the team. What is the designer's vision? What's that? We have a door that's very loud. So what's important to the central experience and what isn't? Designers should work with artists, audio people, and writers to create a cohesive tone and experience for your game, and work with programmers to make sure mechanics are implemented correctly. This is just generally speaking. If we're designing a level, and let's say the writer's like, hey, let's make this a really slow, dramatic, powerful scene. And they're also like, hey, I want to make really cutesy art. And the other people are like, hey, let's make this like a really upbeat, cheerful music. And the designer makes like super action-packed scene. I don't even remember what all those different things that everybody wanted to make were, but it didn't match at all. Unless maybe it did. So make sure that you're talking about that. Be very clear about what is finalized and what needs more playtesting. Be receptive when you are told to rush playtesting so your teammates can start working on something. Be receptive to the rest of the team telling what is and isn't in scope. Be ready to change your design to accommodate what they can implement. So designers, sometimes they'll be like, okay, but what if we added this new mechanic? Or, hey, it'd be really cool if this sword could fly. And, you know, we want to be as creative as we can and go shoot for the sky, but always keep scope in mind. So designers, try to keep an eye on yourself, like, am I going too far with my scope? Non-designers, tell your designers when they're going too far. Hey, designer, you're going too far. We can't implement this new mechanic. As much as you love it, as cool as it is. Put a pin on it, we'll maybe come back to it. So really count on each other to keep the scope in check. And you know, you might not always know like what is possible for the other people. Like, is it possible to have like a rocket launcher that shoots missiles and those missiles explode into bullets? And maybe the program is like, oh yeah, no, that's a really easy thing. We just mess around with stuff we already got. And you wouldn't know that without asking them or talking to them. So check in with your team to check about scope. Production. Hey, these are the guys who organize everything. Team communication is key to a successful development experience. Yes. As your team's producer, you are in charge of making sure your teammates talk to each other. Yep. Whether it be about having too much on their plate or suggesting ideas to improve the game they're working on. As silly and obvious as this may sound, many groups fall apart because they don't communicate amongst themselves. So this is where the producer comes in to facilitate communication. A good start is to get everyone's preferred method of messaging. It could be anything from Messenger to Discord, but probably not Messenger, because no pinned messages. It's a linear messaging system. It doesn't matter as long as your teammates have the app and use it often. Develop a sense of camaraderie and establish an emotional bond with the project team. Be friends with your team, unless you don't like them, in which case, still try to be friends with them. But yeah, producers are very important. They're basically the organizers. They're second in command, I want to say, when it comes to organizing a team under team lead. A lot of the responsibilities are kind of shared between the two.
Do you see that
but yeah, producers need to make sure that communication is going. Yes.
So if there is no producer, team lead takes the entire role.
Like, not the entire role, but a lot of the responsibilities.
Okay.
Like, you try your best to get as much of the producer's roles as you can. Because if you don't have a producer, you are the sole, like, slightly higher authority figure. And I say slightly, like, you're not like a king or anything. But you do have a little bit of authority to say, hey, we need this done right now.
Okay.
No, burning word.
Yeah.
No, on him.
Programming. Besides writing code, your most important job as a programmer is communicating with the rest of your team. You're responsible for telling the computer how the game is supposed to look and feel. Keep close communications with the producers, artists, everybody,
It was burning
to ensure that the game ends up playing as intended. As programmers, you are also human, and you will get stuck on complex problems. State machine logic, matrix transformation, off by one errors, I don't know what any of those things are, so I'd have to talk to somebody about that. When this happens, you should let the team know what's going on, or else they will just assume that everything's going fine, and really it isn't. Having trouble, talk to people. Talk to the other programmers, they don't know. Talk to other programmers, they don't know. Talk to our programming officers, if they don't know. Talk to more programmers, check online. We'll find a solution somehow. Everyone plays a part in the development process, and it's up to you to get their thoughts and ideas onto the screen. Yep, pretty much. I rely on my programmers pretty heavily to make the games happen.
You're pretending you don't know how to follow my code.
I respect the programmers. What are you talking about? They do what I can't. And here's writing. So I directed this towards writers, but I realized I probably should have directed it more generally towards team leads and whatnot. So I will add on to this verbally. But first off, if there's a story you want to tell, you writers out there, the entire team needs to be on the same page. Hey, this is a common theme, isn't it? Same page. Have the vision of what you want to convey and communicate that to your team. So this point does go back to your team leads. If there's something you want to make and your writer's helping you make the story for it, right? Make sure that they understand what your vision is. If you're the team lead, I guess. Like, I really want to explore this theme, or hey, we're kind of going for this type of story where it's like a cool romance story, and yeah. Let the writer know. The writer needs to know some key details, what's the mood we're going for? Are there any important themes? What are we capable of mechanically, which is kind of tying into programming. What are our capabilities as writers? What do we have at our disposal to tell our story? Do we have a dialogue system? Probably not. We'll have to find new ways to tell the story. Cool. Okay. So just let your writers know what they can work in. Hey, that's the next step. You need to know what tools you have, programming design, at your disposal to tell the story. And they need to know what their mechanics are doing on your end. So it's like, hey, don't get rid of that pushing the red button, because I'm using that to tell a really important story in my game, or in the game. I think that it has this really cool emotional impact right here. Tell your designers, although they're probably not going to scrap full ideas. Anyway, artists need to know who the characters are and what they stand for. If you're coming up with a character design, talk to your artist. It's kind of like both of these departments make characters. So if you're working on the same character, talk together, bounce ideas off of each other. You're going to have character art, you're going to have character descriptions, so work together, make it together. It's really cool. Working with the scene, talk to audio. Mood and atmosphere is a combined effort, as most of these things are. A scene with no music, you could work with that, but music would enhance the scene so much more if you're going for a certain mood. Yeah, so I believe that this is the last slide. It is. So with that, do you have any questions about communication, either with specific departments or specific people, or anything else?
Could you talk a little bit more about production?
Production, sure. Let me go back.
I mean, I don't really know how producers works.
Producers will generally be the ones who are the winter meets, the Trellos and all that stuff, making sure people are organized, making sure that their deadlines due. These would be the people hunting people down like, hey, you need to finish this by next week. So they're more dedicated to that. Lacking a specific producer, it's on everybody to do these things. You gotta monitor yourselves, I guess, and each other, because you're a team. So if one person's falling behind, it's like, hey, do you need help? Or hey, we need to pick up the pace. Or hey, this is a thing. But producers try to keep, they're the ones who are usually in charge of that communication. And if you need to know even more about producers, you can talk to our producing officers, Kiara and Naz, who are around sometimes, and also on Discord all the time.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions about anything that we've covered so far today? All right, well, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to close up shop here and end this workshop. But if any questions come to mind later on, you can always find us here, talk to us on Discord, or do whatever you want. But yeah, this will be recorded, and yeah. Thank you so much for coming to this workshop, and I hope that you'll catch next week's, which is Foundations?
No, Foundations is week 6.
Never
Next
mind.
week is... What?
It's asset requests.
Next week is on asset requests and asset making. So yeah, don't miss that. We'll probably talk more about like Art Strike and whatnot there. So you got a sneak peek. Anyway, thank you for coming. Have a good night.
Also, there's one thing I'm a bit